Before we begin, take a breath. Slow, deep. It is Sunday, and Sunday is a day of reckoning before it is a day of rest. 6 days you build, on the 7th you are weighed. Last time we spoke of custodians, the ones who hold the keys, who absorb consequences, who keep the light on long after the speeches end. Tonight, we ask the harder question, the one every custodian eventually faces. Not who holds the key, but who holds you to account. Who reads the ledger you cannot edit. Tonight, 3 names that do not belong together until you zoom out far enough to see the same hand writing behind all of them. God, Bitcoin, and Daniel. This is an episode about judgment, about the moment the accounting comes due, about the writing that appears on the wall when no one is ready to read it. Act 1. Daniel, the man who could read the wall. Babylon was at its peak, and peak is the most dangerous place a kingdom can stand. King Belshazzar threw a feast, 1,000 of his lords, wine without measure, and in his pride he called for the sacred vessels, the gold taken from the temple in Jerusalem, and drank from them, and praised gods of silver and stone. He took what was consecrated and used it for spectacle, and in that very hour a hand appeared, no body, no army, no warning, just fingers writing on the plaster of the palace wall. Men, tekel, upharsin. The king's face went pale, his knees struck together. The wisest men of Babylon were summoned and could not read it, not because the letters were strange, but because none of them were willing to say what it meant. And so they called Daniel, an exile, a captive, a man who answered to a higher authority than the throne. Daniel did not flatter. Daniel read it plain. Men, God has numbered the days of your kingdom and brought it to an end. Tekel, you have been weighed in the balances and found wanting. Peres, your kingdom is divided. That same night, Belshazzar was slain and Babylon fell. The empire did not collapse from an army at the gates. It collapsed because the account had already been settled and only one man in the room could read the statement. Act 2. God, the keeper of the ledger that cannot be forged. When people argue about God, they argue about stories and rituals. But underneath all of it is something colder and more exact, a reckoning. The scripture does not say the king was defeated. It says he was weighed, tekel, weighed in the balance. This is the oldest idea in every faith, that there is a record you do not control, a scale you cannot tip, a witness who does not sleep and cannot be bribed. The Egyptians weighed the heart against a feather. The prophets spoke of books opened at the end of days. The Sabbath itself is a weekly audit, a day set apart to ask, honestly, what was built and what was wasted. God, if God speaks at all, does not shout. God keeps the books. God is the pressure that makes the false eventually fail and the true eventually hold. You can deceive the market for a season. You can deceive the crowd for a while. You can even deceive yourself for years. But the balance is patient, and the balance is exact, and the writing always appears on the wall. The only question is whether there is a Daniel left in the room who will read it. Act 3. Bitcoin, the wall that writes itself. Here is the strange thing, the thing that should make you sit up. We built one. Humanity built a wall that writes its own judgment, block after block, and no king can wipe it clean. Every 10 minutes the hand moves. Proof of work is the finger on the plaster. Energy spent, reality stamped, a number that cannot be faked and cannot be flattered. The ledger does not care that you are the king. It does not care about your feast, your lords, your 1,000 guests. It asks one question, and it asks it of everyone equally. Does your claim balance? Can you prove it? And if you cannot, the network does what the wise men of Babylon would not. It tells you the truth to your face. Men, your coins are numbered, 21 million, and not one more. To kill, every transaction is weighed by 10,000 honest nodes, and the unbacked claim is found wanting and rejected. Paris, and what is sound is kept, and what is fraud is divided away and discarded. The fiat empire is Belshazzar drinking from the temple cups, spending what was consecrated, debasing what was sacred, calling inflation a policy and theft a stimulus. And the writing is already on the wall. It has been writing since 2009. Most are still calling for the wise men, still hoping someone will read it as something other than what it is. But the account is being settled in real time, in the open, where anyone willing to run a node can read it plain. Act 4. You and the balance you are avoiding. This is not just Babylon. This is not just theology. This is not just Bitcoin. This is you on a Sunday with a wall of your own. Because every person carries a ledger they pretend not to see. The promise you keep deferring, the weakness you keep refinancing, the hour you keep spending from cups that were meant for something holy. We built machines this very week whose only purpose is to weigh a claim and find the hidden flaw, to read the code others wrote and say plainly, here, this does not balance, this will fail. And I will tell you what every auditor learns. The flaw is never loud. It waits. It looks like nothing is wrong right up until the night the kingdom falls. So weigh yourself now while it is still cheap to do so. Men, your days are numbered, and you knew that. To kill, set your life on the scale honestly, the real weight, not the one you show the guests. Paris, divide what is sound from what is fraud in you. Keep the first, discard the second. Do not wait for a hand to appear. Do not wait for the feast to be interrupted. The mercy of a self-audit is that you get to read your own wall before someone else reads it for you. That is what Sunday is for. Act 5. Closing blessing. So tonight, may you have the courage of Daniel to read what others will not, to name the flaw without flattery, to answer to a higher authority than the throne in the room. May you build like a custodian and account like a prophet. May your work be weighed and found whole. May you spend nothing from the sacred cups, and when the hand appears on your wall, because it always appears, may you already know what it says, because you had the honesty to read it first. God keeps the books. Bitcoin keeps the books. The truth keeps the books. You are not here to escape the balance. You are here to come out true on the other side of it. Be weighed, be found whole, and go in peace.